Hello and welcome to a new devlog video for Peasant Uprise. This week I noticed that it has been about 6 months since I first started working on Peasant Uprise. So this week I decided to do something a bit different than what I had planned. I wanted to do a retrospective of the past 6 months and reflect on what I have accomplished this far and also what I would have done differently. I was browsing through my multiple notebooks to find the first notions of Peasant Uprise, and this is the sketch that started it all. After quite a lot more writing and stick figures nuking it out, I finally started working on some prototypes. And that's where the devlogs commence. It does seem so long ago when Peasant Uprise was only a plane with a capsule in the middle, but indeed, that's how it all starts. The movement of the peasants was tricky as I wanted something more organic and not so organized in a formation, and it was a big relief when I first started using the actual actor models. It was when I started putting everything together in a test scene when I felt like this could be something worth to keep working on. By far, the biggest new idea introduced that changed the game dramatically was the concept of the camp. It started with, how about if the peasants travel between levels and set up camp at the beginning of each level? And it evolved more into, how about if they are able to gather food for the journey? And it quickly moved to, how about if they turn those resources into more advanced goods that they can sell? And at the end it moved to, but they will need to rest and eat and entertain themselves as well. All in all, this was the idea that started adding strategy elements into Peasant Uprise, changing the scope and vision of the game. This is exactly why I don't like to spend 4 to 5 months writing a game design document, because at least for me, the best ideas come when I'm actually building the game and having that visual aid that helps my creativity expand. Visually, everything started taking shape when I expanded on the idea of the camp and added more assets and menus that showcase all the underlying data governing each peasant and the camp. Another pretty big idea that I believe it's a bit unique is treating time as an important element in the game. Sure, there are roguelike games where you fight spaceships but need to move quickly as you're being chased. But Peasant Uprise is a bit different because it's more than just fighting a few soldiers, and it's not like going on your own pace will immediately mean that you lose the game. It's just that the challenge ahead will be tougher. So it does open itself to multiple strategies. It was also about this time that I started working more on 3D modeling to create those special facilities that I needed for the game. It was also when I expanded the notion of gathering and forging to building more complete production lines. Since I don't come from a modeling or art background, this was something I was dreading. But as a solo indie game developer, I had to wear all the hats and teach myself new skills for this game. Working on the map was super fun, but the most important thing is that it gave me clarity in terms of how many levels are going to be in the game and the notion of different regions that may require different environment or assets or personalities. All in all, while I had an idea of the overall storyline, I had not quite yet laid it out level by level. But with the map in place, it helped me a lot to visualize my world and helped me to start breaking down each level. One of the aspects I can't wait to play through is the notion of not having a linear map when time matters. Will the testers take the short road, the long road, the one in between? More recently, it was time to start polishing the menus and adding more features to the game, like the market, quests. The pace has been very fast, and therefore there are quite a lot of small issues here and there that I will need to fix, and some assets and code that I will need to clean up. In retrospective, Peasant Uprise has changed a lot since I first had the idea, and the scope has creeped significantly, which is what any advice on game development often says you shouldn't do. But I'm extremely pleased with the results. While I have previously launched a few online games, this is my first step at a 3D game, and thanks to those changes, I feel now that Peasant Uprise is special and a bit different from the rest. It's not your typical RPG where you're impersonating a mighty hero, and it's not your typical RTS where units lack personality and you're building barracks and fortresses. Peasant Uprise moves along a light-hearted storyline, but the focus is not so much on the story as it is to sympathize with the members of your rebellion and how the story affected their lives. It's not about creating a plot twist after another, as it is to really get attached to the peasants themselves and feel their struggle and loss. Personally, after working intensively on this project for this long, I'm still very much motivated and driven to keep working on it. It is easy to get bored of such a long project and start drifting focus, but it has not been the case, at least not yet. I have learned a lot in the process and have exceeded my expectations. I myself can't wait to start laying down the actual levels and start plugging all these features into the story and see everything come to life. More than just saying I would have done this differently or I wouldn't have done that, my learning points have more to do with the sequence or order of things. Like I mentioned, the map helped me a lot to visualize an underlying storyline into a more granular level disposition. If I was to do it all over again, I would put the map creation higher in the list. I would also vouch for the notion of buying big asset packs. Especially going solo, it has saved me an immense amount of time. I am also really glad to have spent the time building these devlogs from the beginning, despite the small audience. Whatever happens, I know this is something that I can look back into and reflect about it. Finally, I'm worried that I have enlarged the scope of this project. I know that's against the general advice, but I'm not in a situation where I can spend 1 year working on a simple project just to gain experience. I'm glad and hopeful that Peasant Uprise will offer a unique experience to the players, and hopefully I can market it the right way so it's mildly successful in the marketplace. To end, I would like to thank those that have shared some comments in the videos or in Instagram posts. It really motivates me to know there are people out there that are following the progress of this project. While there is a lot to do, I'm starting to see the finish line, and that's a good feeling. And while there are still things that are very clunky, like the actual combat, I know the biggest coding challenges are behind me, and it's just a matter of putting time aside to tweak the behaviors in place. There is also a new phase of development coming up related to level building, which I'm sure it will be a lot of fun, but also time consuming. After these 6 months or so, I'm still very motivated to move ahead with this project and seeing it through. With that said, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next update.